Hi. Hello, Internet. It's Emily S.W.
Sam.
And we are coming at you with... Is this the third episode of the Podcastle?
It is.
Oh, so exciting.
I know, I don't know if we're on a roll yet, but I feel like once you reach a certain number, that's definitely, the commitment point.
I know, and it's fun, honestly, like, half the time when I'm at work, I'm in back of my head cooking on, well, what if we did this? And what if we did that? Like, the podcast is fun to do.
Yeah.
Not that the other things we do aren't fun, but this is a little less labor. There's no video. We don't have to look presentable.
But I am still editing through an hour plus worth of audio, and editing is tedious. I will just point that out there.
Yeah, cutting out the silences.
You have to cut out the silence. I cut out a lot of
whatever.
I cut out a lot of.
Oh, I haven't noticed that one.
I do that a lot.
Okay. I was like, I've never noticed myself doing that.
No, that's a me problem.
Okay. So I have or whatever. You have...
So I cut those out. Luckily, you kind of start to be able to tell the waveform for those sounds and those words. Because
that makes sense.
Looks a certain way, looks a certain way.
You could probably tell with because it'll be that, and then you'll go into speaking, so it'll be the...
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's a lot of trial and error that goes into audio editing.
Sound engineering. You can start putting this on a resume.
I have no formal training in this. So what we're not going to do this time, this is a learning experience.
Yes.
We are, I hope, improving as we go. So if you've listened this far and you've dealt with all the issues, and the or whatevers, the audio problems, the volume problems, me picking up the microphone.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, if you made it this far, please bear with us and know we are aware.
Painfully.
I know, because I have studio headphones that I was editing through. So I could hear everything.
No, I've started noticing that I say or whatever all the time in my real life now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so it's become an all the time problem, and I'm working on it.
But the point here is, we are working on improving with every episode.
Yeah, so, and, if there's something that you want to see us, not see us do, if there's something you think would sound good that we should do better, or something like that,
Colin keeps telling me to make intro music. I just don't know what kind of intro music. I'm sure there is something.
Sorry, in my head, what just played was the beginning of the Scooby-Doo intro with the bats and the... That's what just played in my head.
Oh, we can't do that.
No, that's copyrighted.
It's already been done.
It would fit, though. We'll think of something.
I'll search through my folder of half-finished music.
Maybe we can make a jingle. Gothic jingle. We're working on it, Internet. Thanks for bearing with us. Thanks for being here with us. And it's fitting that this is our third episode, because we are dealing with someone with 3 letters in their last name. That was a segue. So today we're going to do Poe, but Poe is very well known. He's not one of those kind of neglected gems like we've been talking about previously. He's widely taught in American high schools. I don't know about other countries.
We studied The Mask of the Red Death.
That's classic.
I feel like The Raven came up at some point.
Yeah, that one always, I memorized The Raven. That always comes up. Because it's easy to memorize, because it's...
Everyone else we've talked about so far has been English.
That's true. He's our first American. But what a fitting first American. I mean, Poe... Honestly, when I think Gothic literature, before we've started all this deep diving, I would have named Poe immediately. That would have been the first thing in the top of my head. Poe, and then Bronte stuff, Dracula, Frankenstein, stuff like that.
Who are also European.
Yeah, we'll have to delve more into American Gothic at some point. But I think Poe is the most well known though because he's just so overtly dark, and his life was dark. He married his cousin. It was a whole thing. He died mysteriously.
Yes, I don't think we need to go too much into background about Poe.
No, I mean, the man needs no introduction.
Yeah, that's true.
He probably would have liked one during his lifetime, because he was not very successful until he died.
Yeah. He's also a little bit of a later era than our previous entries here.
He was born in 1809 and died in 1849.
Early, mid-19th century.
Yeah, he did not live to see the Civil War. That's always how I place people in the 1800s. Is this the American Civil War
dividing point?
Yeah, well, because
it's fair. I mean, it's just about the middle of the century. It's a little later.
Yes,
but it's just about.
And completely changed the trajectory of literally everything to do with America. So what we're gonna do today, we thought it would be fun because so many people are so familiar with, the Telltale Heart, also a classic. I love the Telltale Heart. The Pit and the Pendulum. Now I'm just reminiscing.
A lot of famous stories. Did you ever see that movie, The Raven?
Is that the one that all the 90s goths are obsessed with? No, that's Crow. You know what? You know what the other funny thing about that is? I know the difference between a raven and a crow. I can spot the difference. Like, I know how to tell their tails are different, and they're different, but
No, it's not related to the crow.
Uh-huh.
And it was supposed to be kind of like a fictional version of the end of Poe's life.
Okay.
Where there was like the serial killer, but they were murdering people by recreating things from Poe's stories.
Ooh.
So then the police called Poe and were like, help.
It's kind of like the pilot episode of Castle.
And then his cousin wife got abducted, so he had to rescue her.
I've never seen that or heard of it. That sounds interesting. See, well, related to the Raven, what we're doing today is because so much of his work is so well known, rather than rehash things that people have gone over time and time again, we have the complete works of Poe, so poems and fiction. We're just going to open up to some random poems and read them and react.
You didn't think you'd be getting a live poetry reaction.
No, this is fun. It's like roulette.
This is a new concept here.
Yeah, so let us know if you like this, because we have other compilations of other people that we could do this with. So, yeah, or maybe we'll just get the Raven. Let's see. So, first one, I've got the poetry section. Oh, hold on, let me get the introduction out of...
Yeah, the poetry portion of the book is significantly smaller than the short stories.
Still, a decent chunk. Well, some of his short stories are, like, novellas. I think The Mask of Red Death is one of the long ones, isn't it? Or is that the Cast of Amontillado?
No, it's the one that's supposedly the actual father of all detective fiction. The Murders in the Rue Morgue.
Right, yes.
Where is that on here?
Oh, that's right, they're not alphabetized. I will say, the edition we have is one of those fancy Barnes & Noble ones with the foiled edges. Very pretty. But I cannot stand when things aren't alphabetized, and the stories in here are not in alphabetical order, so it makes it difficult to find them. Murders in the Rue Morgue? Yeah, 369 to 396, yeah.
And still 30 pages.
30 pages. 30 pages for a short story is not...
And the print is pretty small.
Yeah.
Murders in the Rue Morgue predates Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, I was reading about that in preparation when we were talking about what we should do for Poe. I do love me some Sherlock Holmes. Maybe we could do a detective special. But we're just going to deal with poetry today because if we flip to one of the long stories, we'll be here all night. And I have recovered my voice, but I don't want to push it.
I seem to be losing mine.
So I'm going to flip to a random page, and if it's in the middle of a poem, obviously I'll go to the beginning of the poem. So we're going to do a couple of these. We'll see where it takes us.
Yeah.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, what have I got here? Oh, I picked a long one.
You picked the longest poem in the book.
It's got parts.
Maybe we'll just be reading one poem today.
Oh, maybe I should pick another one. How many pages is this poem? It's 12 pages long.
Yeah, it's too long.
Okay.
Try again.
Do over. Man, that's like my third strike today. I'm really winning. Alright, let's try... Oh, Scenes from Politician. Oh, this is like a play. We could read it. Like, I picked it up.
These really long ones we'll have to read through first and then dedicate a whole...
Yeah, Scenes from...
An unpublished drama.
Unpublished drama.
I didn't know he wrote a drama.
I didn't either. Well, it was unpublished.
It's published now.
Yeah. Okay, so we should do a video doing a dramatic reading, but not for this video. There's the Raven. This is going... Okay, here's...
That one looks good. Let's do Dreamland.
First try. Dreamland. Do you want to read it, or shall I?
I shall read. You have to test my audio narration skills. But I'll do the reading and you can do the thinking because you have the literary analysis brain.
That's true, I have a degree.
And I don't.
Well, you have a degree, I have an English degree.
My degree is in French.
Yeah.
That's not English.
No.
Dreamland. By a route obscure and lonely, haunted by ill angels only, where an Eidolon named Night on a black throne reigns upright, I have reached these lands but newly, from an ultimate dim Thule, from a wild weird clime that lieth sublime, out of space, out of time. Bottomless vales and boundless floods, and chasms and caves and Titan woods, with forms that no man can discover, for the tears that drip all over, mountains toppling evermore, into seas without a shore, seas that restlessly aspire, surging unto skies of fire, lakes that endlessly outspread their lone waters, lone and dead, their still waters, still and chilly, with the snows of the lolling lily. By the lakes that thus outspread their lone waters, lone and dead, their sad waters, sad and chilly, with the snows of the lolling lily, by the mountains, near the river, murmuring lowly, murmuring ever, by the grey woods, by the swamp, where the toad and the newt encamp, by the dismal tarns and pools, where dwell the ghouls, by each spot the most unholy, in each nook the most melancholy, where the traveller meets aghast, sheeted memories of the past, shrouded forms that start and sigh, as they pass the wanderer by, white-robed forms of friends long given, in agony to the earth and heaven. For the heart whose woes are legion, 'tis a peaceful, soothing region. For the spirit that walks in shadow, 'tis an Eldorado. But the traveller, travelling through it, may not, dare not openly view it. Never its mysteries are exposed, to the weak human eye unclosed. So wills its king, who hath forbid the uplifting of the fringed lid, and thus the sad soul that here passes beholds it but through darkened glasses, by a route obscure and lonely, haunted by ill angels only, where an Eidolon named Night on a black throne reigns upright. I have wandered home but newly from this ultimate dim Thule. You think that's supposed to be Thule?
Yeah.
Then it would rhyme.
Then it would rhyme. I know. I have to look that word up because I don't know what it means.
I was reading based, standard English conventions, which dictate that an E at the end of a word is silent.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is an English word.
Thule?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's also the name of a company. Thule definition is the most northerly location mentioned in ancient Greek and Roman literature and cartography. Modern interpretations have included Orkney, Shetland, northern Scotland, the island of Saaremaa in Estonia, and the Norwegian island of Smola.
So it is supposed to be Thule.
I think so, yeah.
But it's Greek.
Well, yeah, because it looks like, so if you look at the accents, it's probably Thule.
This is why in other languages they use accent marks to tell you how to properly pronounce things.
Yes.
We don't have those in English anymore. Could you also look up what an Eidolon is?
Yes. Eidollon. A phantom, an apparition, an image of an ideal, an image or representation, a form, a phantom, an apparition.
Where does that originate?
In ancient Greek literature, an eidolon is a spirit image of a living or dead person, a shade or phantom look-alike of the human form. It was used by Homer in the Odyssey. This Wikipedia article on the eidolon also references this poem. Walt Whitman uses it, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yeah, so it's Greek. Which...
There's a lot of ancient, classical Greek references so far in all of our...
Yeah, well, that was the education of the time. Latin and Greek were kings. Well, honestly, it took a long time. One of my professors in college was born in Ireland, and he was an older gentleman. And even him, when he was in school, They mostly focused on classics, Greek, Latin, all that stuff.
Makes sense.
From that professor, we focused a lot on Poetics by Aristotle. It being an English degree, gotta start at the source. So much of our culture references that stuff. Everyone who got an education basically references that stuff. This time period all the way up until, like, the 60s.
Right. Alright, so let's go back to the poem.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, I went on a tangent. I was thinking, I wanted to look up if he used a specific form for this, because the repetition sounds like... Because he used a lot of the same phrasing and the same words that come back around.
Yeah, the first stanza and the last are the same, with the exception of 2 lines. And there's also lines that repeat, like, exactly a couple times.
Yeah, or, like, the phrasing, like, silly he used... Or not silly.
Lone waters, lone and dead, still waters, still and chilly.
Still and chilly. He used that phrasing in different... Okay, so this isn't a strict, like, a named sort of poem form, but the meter, which is trochaic tetrameter, which... meter is so hard to explain. You know what, we're not going to get into the meter because meter is really complicated, and I understand it, but I don't understand it well enough to explain it to an audience.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
we'll skip that. The rhyme scheme and the meter are pretty obvious, I think. It also, I know maybe this is just, it's Edgar Allan Poe, so you have all these preconceived notions, but it made me think of The Raven. Because he writes very similar, like his poems are often, they have the repetition of words and phrases and stuff that carry it along. I think that's a common thing we see in Poe. This dreamland of his sounds pretty metal.
It's painting a scene.
Yes. I was kind of picturing in Lord of the Rings, where Sauron lives.
So we're picturing Mordor.
Well, especially when he mentioned the sky being aflame or on fire.
Surging on the skies of fire, yeah.
That phrase in particular made me think of Mordor. But a very gothic dreamland.
Out of time and out of space.
Yeah.
So it's not a place grounded in any reality, is what he's saying.
And seas without shores.
Mm-hmm. So it's basically a place that's impossible.
Yeah, I think...
And especially when he said forms that no man can discover. You know what it made me think of? Lovecraft.
Ooh, yeah, very Lovecraftian.
Things that are beyond comprehension.
Yeah, that was Lovecraft's whole shtick.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, even the way he's describing, like, seas without a shore, like, you have to have a shore where the sea meets the land.
Yeah.
It's just what it means. But if it doesn't have a shore, that means it stretches on endlessly.
But it's
right?
also kind of...
But at the same time...
Was that an oxymoron? Because he's also describing mountains falling into the sea.
Mountains and rivers, woods and swamps. So it's, like, impossible to actually physically exist.
Yeah, I was thinking that the title of this, like, you read the title first, Dreamland, and that immediately, it's definitely a dreamscape. Like, immediately puts you in that mindset of accepting these impossible things.
Lovecraft was really influenced by Poe.
He
heavily.
Was.
So that connection makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
He said, it was really funny to me, there's toads and newts.
Mm-hmm.
Perfectly normal creatures. But then also ghouls, spirits, memories of the past.
See, I feel like though toads and newts have kind of some bad connotations, like with witchcraft and things like that. And obviously we know with our modern knowledge that Eye of Newt was slang for mustard seed, and they weren't actually putting newt eyes and things. But I think the use of toad and newt there, like, they are ordinary, but they also kind of have witchcraft kind of connotations.
That's true.
They're also amphibians. People famously don't like to touch things like that. You know, the saying that you'll get warts if you touch a toad, and...
So they're kind of like bad luck.
Yeah, they're like underbelly kind of creatures that might scandalize a woman, like a society woman in the 1830s reading this or whenever it was published. The book does not say when this was published, but had to be before 1849.
Yeah, so it's also inhabited by ghouls, which are creatures that haunt cemeteries and eat corpses.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to run into one of those.
Sheeted memories of the past. Shrouded forms that start inside. And he explains what these are. White-robed forms of friends long given in agony to the earth and heaven. So they're people who have died.
Which also leads back into the, what is it, EID, what's that word?
Eidolon.
Eidolon. Because the Eidolon also in Greek literature tends to be the image of someone who's dead.
Mm-hmm. But in agony, so they're not people who died peacefully.
No. Or if they were, they're now in agony. In perhaps a less than ideal afterlife.
But he goes on to say, to those whose hearts are legion with woes, this place is peaceful.
I'll be honest, it does sound like I would vacation there. Like, I would take a day trip.
You know what this is? This is a depression poem. I don't know how else to put that.
I think you've nailed it, though. That is very much that's like, I can picture Edgar Allan Poe with black eyeliner and listening to My Chemical Romance writing this poem.
But you know what I mean? It's like when you have, like, a very deep depression and...
You kind of start to enjoy the melancholy.
And that's one of, like, the symptoms of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, the melancholy and the sadness, it's familiar.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how things are. It's how you perceive things to be normal.
Yeah.
Right? And it almost becomes comfortable.
Delving into the idea of it being a depression poem a little more, because there is the melancholy, like, you can get to a certain state of depression where you're very apathetic. For me, anyways, was always way worse than being sad or the melancholy. I would rather have the melancholy than feel nothing. So the melancholy, like you said, it's familiar, it's comfortable.
Right, and then because he goes on to say, but the traveler traveling through it may not dare openly view it. So to other people, this is just too much, right? Like, they want, remember, its mysteries are exposed, so people, you want explanations for things, you want things to make sense, but here it doesn't.
I think as a person, my philosophy now, as a person who has lived through ups and downs over the years and experienced this, that, and the other thing, my life philosophy is kind of like, I don't necessarily feel the need or the compulsion to understand everything. For me, I can look upon these unknowable forms and shoreless seas, rivers and newts and white figures. I don't need to comprehend it. I can just accept that it is a thing and enjoy the experience, and then at the end wake up and move on. I've wandered home, but newly.
Yeah, and in the beginning we reach these lands, but newly, and then we wander home, but newly.
Yeah. So he's observing, he's existing in this space. He's accepting it.
We pass through it, and
then we go home.
We wake up from this dream.
Yeah.
Of sorrow.
I mean, I'll be honest. It sounds like a pretty cool dream.
Yeah, I liked this one.
I did too. I'm glad we read it.
Yeah, should we do another one?
Sure. Do you want to try picking this time? Because mine works so well.
ASMR?
ASMR. Oh, you got
some choices here.
2 short ones.
Ooh. Okay, so should we keep on with our theme and read Dreams?
Yeah, let's read Dreams.
Dreams by Edgar Allan Poe. Oh, that my young life were a lasting dream, my spirit not awakening till the beam of an eternity should bring the morrow. Yes, though that long dream were of hopeless sorrow, 'twere better than the cold reality of waking life to him whose heart must be, and hath been still, upon the lovely earth, a chaos of deep passion from his birth. But should it be that dream eternally, continuing, as dreams have been to me, in my young boyhood, should it thus be given, 'twere folly still to hope for higher heaven. For I have revelled when the sun was bright, I the summer sky in dreams of living light, and loneliness have left my very heart in climes of my imagining apart. From mine were home, with beings that have been, of mine own thought, what more could I have seen? 'Twas once, and only once, and the wild hour, for my remembrance shall pass, some power, or spell that bound me, 'twas the chilly wind, came o'er me in the night, and left behind its image on my spirit, or the moon shone on my slumbers in her lofty noon, too coldly, or the stars, howe'er it was, that dream was as the night wind, let it pass. I have been happy though, but in a dream. I have been happy, And I love the theme, dreams, and their vivid coloring of life, as in that fleeting, shadowy, misty strife of semblance with reality which brings to the delirious eye more lovely things of paradise and love, and all our own, than young Hope in his sunniest hour hath known. That's it.
Okay.
I ruined the rhyme scheme again with my accent. And not rhyming bean and scene.
I mean, that's a fudge. That's a fudget.
What
That's
beans
fine.
that have bean?
It's a bit of a tongue
That's
twister.
a bit of a British pronunciation.
Yes. Well, he was from New England.
Um,
He's very much living up to his reputation of being kind of, is mercurial the word? A dreamer, head in the clouds. He seems to prefer his imagination to reality. Which, same.
Yeah, I'm just looking now to see how many other dreams there are, like dream poems there are. There's at least 2 more.
Okay.
We might have to look into that, because we don't know we've got a theme going.
Yeah, we've stumbled across a theme.
This one seems to be saying, too, that my young life were a lasting dream. Like, he wishes that things could continue the way that it either had been in the past, or the way he imagined things to be. Like, his hopes from when he was a child.
Yeah.
But, they haven't come to pass. And he says, I have been happy, though, but in a dream. The young Hope in his sunniest hour hath known.
Yeah.
So it does kind of sound like a really jaded adult.
He's lamenting his adult responsibilities, bills to pay, having a job, which is relatable, honestly. Like, this was good. This was, like, short and sweet. Had some good lines. Can I see it? There was one line in there, I was like, ooh. Oh, this is it. That dream was as that night wind. Let it pass. I like that line. I thought that says everything you need right there. And it's like, he knows he's living in dreamland. Yeah, see, now this one, though, there's not as much cool imagery to talk about. Like,
no, there wasn't.
No. We started off with a banger. Okay, well, what are the other dream poems?
Alright, the other dreams poem is called A Dream.
Okay. So we've gone from dreamland to dreams to a dream.
A Dream. This one's also really short. A Dream. In visions of the dark night, I have dreamed of joy departed, but a waking dream of life and light hath left me broken-hearted. Ah, what is not a dream by day, to him whose eyes are cast on things around him with a ray turned back upon the past. That holy dream, while all the world were chiding, hath cheered me as a lovely beam, a lonely spirit guiding. What though that light through storm and night so trembled from afar? What could there be more purely bright in truth's day star?
So now this is an adult who's basically saying, so what if I'm a dreamer? And I am maybe obsessed with the past? It's my life. Leave me alone.
Yeah, that is, because especially the third stanza here, that holy dream, while all the world were chiding, left me with a lovely beam, a lonely spirit guiding. So he is kind of saying that the dreams are the things that keep him going.
Yeah, even if the world doesn't agree. And I also, like, he mentioned, if you've got your eyes on the things around you, there's cool stuff. I'm paraphrasing.
What is not a dream by day, to him whose eyes are cast on things around him with a ray turned back upon the past. So it's also through a lens of, like, nostalgia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, like the previous one, going back, thinking about your childhood and your hopes and aspirations from back then.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate
holding on to the dreams of the past.
Yeah.
This one was a little more optimistic.
A little bit. This one was a little bit more like, no, I do have dreams, and I do reminisce about the past and have nostalgia. I'm gonna keep doing it, because I'm happy.
What could there be more purely bright?
Yeah.
In truth's day star.
Good for you, Edgar. Good for you.
You want to hear the last dream poem?
What's this one called?
A Dream Within a Dream.
Oh, okay. So we went from dreamland to dreams.
Yes.
to a dream.
Correct.
So we were losing dream. But now the dream is turning in on itself, and we have a dream within a dream.
We're about to have Inception here.
Dreamception.
This is also a fairly short one.
Okay.
I also feel like A Dream Within a Dream is a very well-known, title.
Well, yeah, because it's Shakespeare. All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream.
So this is another thing that keeps coming up in Gothic literature, is Shakespearean reference.
Just love Shakespeare.
A dream within a dream. Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus left me a vow. You are not wrong, who deem that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away, in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep, while I weep, while I weep. O God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? O God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream?
Oh, that got existential.
Yeah.
Also totally called the Shakespeare reference. I was right about that one.
Oh, I had no doubt.
I mean, it's one of his most famous lines, but considering I've been striking out today, I'm happy to get one. My references have been a little off. The thing that I appreciate about this, too, is the metaphor within the metaphor, with the sand in particular.
Mm-hmm. Just things slipping away between your fingers.
Yeah, not being able to hold on to them.
And a dream is not really a physical thing.
No.
You can hold on to either.
One could argue that the thing he's trying to hold on to could be a dream. We did just read a bunch of poems about how he's a dreamer. He appreciates his dreams, even if the world doesn't. Yeah, I got nothing else to say. I like that one, too. I think my favorite was still Dreamland. Because that one was...
That was vivid.
That was very vivid. It was spooky. It had a fun meter. And I do love me some meter. And we learned 2 new words.
Eidolon.
And Thule. So on the whole, Edgar Allan Poe's dream poems, or poems about dreams, I should say. Poems with dream in the title. The Raven is still, I think, his all-time best. He really knocked it out of the park with that one. But Dreamland, for me, close second.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool.
I kind of am trying to imagine, that setting, but, as a heavy metal album cover. The Raven's also kind of long.
It is long.
Alright, this was Edgar Allan poetry.
Yes, read by Sam.
How'd I do?
Great job. Good cadence. Very, I was enthralled.
Do I have a future in audiobook narration?
Hey, you could. Hey, listen, you are leagues better than some of the audiobook narrators I've listened to.
The only thing that terrifies me about doing that is you have to read for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, so good reading, Sam. I had a good time.
Thank you.
I don't know how much I put my English degree to use.
Well, these were, I think, fairly straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward.
Poems.
I enjoyed them.
I think we got a lot of insight into the psyche of a person who is, rather melancholy, but pins all their hopes in their dreams.
Well, yeah, and these poems, too, especially because Poe wrote fiction. So those are characters and settings that he's exploring, which does reflect his psyche, obviously, to some degree. But the poems, I think, are a little more personal. I highly enjoyed it. Dreamland is one of my new favorite poems. I had a good time. If you liked it, Internet, let us know. If there's someone you think we should do this with, let us know.
Should we do more poetry?
We could do more poetry.
I think finding the ones that kind of follow a theme really helps.
Yeah, that was a good...
tie this together.
That was a good idea, and we should do a dramatic reading of his stage play.
We should. That'll
be
a
different.
More research.
Yeah. So that's it for now. This has been the 3rd episode of the Podcastle, and we'll speak to you next time. About what? Who knows?
We'll decide probably after signing off here.
Yeah, probably.
Alright, we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay, goodbye!